Welcome to Franchise Marketing Radio, brought to you by SeoSamba. Comprehensive high-performing marketing solutions for mature and emerging franchise brands. To supercharge your franchise marketing, go to SeoSamba.com. That's SeoSamba.com.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Franchise Marketing Radio, and this is going to be a fun one. Today we have with us Keil Zepernick with ProLift Garage Doors and Renew Crew. Welcome, Keil.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, before we get too far into things, before we started, you mentioned that you started out with Renew Crew and then have just recently expanded into ProLift Garage Doors. So let's talk about that journey. Tell us about Renew Crew and what attracted you to that franchise.
Yeah, actually, when the pandemic hit, I just kind of looked around. My wife looked at me, and we have 4 kids, and she's just like, what are you going to do now? And honestly, I just looked back and I was like, I have no idea. I was not prepared for something like this. And I started trying to look around to see what's something that we needed during the pandemic. And I was trying to just forge ahead and just think, man, what is something that I can do? What is something that I can invest in? What is something that we need in this time? And that's when I ended up finding these 2 companies, the Garage Doors, the ProLift, and Renew Crew, the pressure washing.
And then, so you had a career, obviously, before this, and it was something that the pandemic disrupted your work?
The last 12 years, I've been in the film industry, doing stunts and acting. And I've also done some stunt coordinating for TV and film.
So I guess the pandemic happened and then everything is just kind of on hold. And then I guess the glamorous show business life, what they don't tell you is that when they're not working, you're not getting paid, right?
Yeah, it's super glamorous, right? I was actually up in New York in March of, I guess it's 2 years ago. I don't know, when everything happened. And all of a sudden they gave me a phone call. It was about 11:30 at night. They said, you need to get out. They're shutting down the city. And that was the start of it for me, and just got my first flight out. And then everything just kind of changed. Didn't know what was going to be like, what were films going to be like, what was, anywhere on set going to be like, if we were going to do more stuff, if it was going to be smaller context, and especially doing something like stunts and fighting, there was definitely a chance that there was going to be less and less of that, where you're actually touching other people and getting in their face.
So now what was the light bulb that said, you know what, out of all the infinite things I could be doing, I think I will consider buying a franchise?
I think that was definitely a crazy thing in my head. But one of the things that I always wanted to do is, my wife and I just talked about having the ability and not necessarily taking stuff away or being so concerned about what we don't have, but we always wanted to be able to provide for people that don't have something. We wanted to always just kind of prayed God brought on my shoulders, I can carry more for people that can't. And we looked for opportunities to where we can start something, to where we can literally just employ people and support families. And when I found out about premium services, more specifically ProLift and Renew Crew, I got pretty excited about just the family nature that they have, the accountability of a franchise, and those things really excited me.
And then you're based in Central Florida, right?
Yes, sir.
And then, so that obviously that territory was available?
Correct.
And then, so you said, okay, I'm going to start with Renew Crew. That's pressure washing, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Originally, I wanted to start with the garage doors. And in Florida, you have to have a general contractor on your license with you, because the exterior wall has to be rated for hurricanes. And because of that, I kind of switched over into the pressure washing first. Lots of HOAs, lots of paver sealing, lots of hard water with sprinklers and other things like that in Florida. And so I was able to do this, and it's been a pretty good fit so far.
So now, was it a hard transition to go from kind of that movie set, TV set world to, now this is your own thing. You're answering your own phones. You're doing all the kind of work out there. I don't know. You probably subcontract out the cleaning part of it, but this is your show now.
Yeah, it's definitely my show, and that's definitely a heavy weight that I'm burdening, that I'm taking on. It's completely different. Was it hard? It's very hard. Previously to even stunts, I played professional sports, and so this is the first time I'm really having to sit down. I'm having to go through just my payroll and my numbers and my financial fees, and there's just so much. There's so much that comes out of it, but it's everything that I've done up to this point has definitely prepared me for it. But it's never really an easy transition in the beginning.
And so now when you got it going, was that thrill of getting your first client, was that like kind of similar to how it was when you were getting your first gig or the first big show you were on?
Yeah, I think the first thing is always exciting. I like to joke around. I'm 6'10", and so I'm pretty large, and people get a little intimidated when I walk in the room. But people that know me for a while, they just feel like I've kind of shrunk, and I don't seem so big anymore. So it's kind of like getting your first gig, getting your first job, getting the first service. You're pretty excited, but it's also about just consistency in the long haul, and trying to provide work for my workers. Trying to really sustain something that's going to last. I wanted this to be a legacy for my kids. So I know that it's exciting in the beginning, and I don't want to demean that. But at the same time, I'm just like, okay, it's just another job, and I have to prepare for the next steps. I think one of the biggest things that I'm looking at is everything with this franchise, with these franchises, is what I'm doing today is affecting 2 weeks from now, So that's a big step for me, just understanding that and seeing that as it's developing.
Now, talk about once you decide that, okay, I'm going to get a franchise. First, because you're narrowing down the world, right? Because you could have done anything, and then you decided franchise. And then from within franchise, there's infinite, seemingly, choices within that. Right. How did you kind of keep whittling that down? It seems very overwhelming.
Yeah, I think it is. It's kind of like you want to go with the best, not necessarily what the product is or what the service is, but the best organization. And I really feel like Premier Services has done a terrific job. Right now with Renew Crew, my coach, Ty Anderson, he's been phenomenal, and he's there every step of the way. So they're really working with me going through it. Their call center, the other things that comes to that. I never thought that garage doors or pressure washing was a sexy thing at all. I can tell you that. I was looking at more things that I thought that I wanted. Even maid service, I was like, man, I'd like that because I like my my house to be clean all the time. But it was kind of more of a need. I was just thinking, man, with garage doors, what's the largest entrance into my home? Where we're at in Florida, people are out most of the year. They're coming in and out of the garage. Bicycles are in and out of the garage. And then I'm just thinking about pressure washing and HOAs and other things like that. So I was just kind of looking what is really a need in the area, and that's what I went after.
And then, so you kind of had it narrowed down to home service. Like you weren't thinking, oh, I could be, I could teach kids gymnastics or, something that was aligned with your athletic background.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because me being a former professional basketball player and a high-level college coach, my wife wanted me to open something that was more doing plyometrics or focusing
on like fitness. There's a million fitness franchise.
Yeah. Honestly, when I was coaching, I had to do so much, and I hated having to tell kids. When I say kids, I mean college students, just recruiting them that they can all be a starter, right? If you have 13 starters, that's not going to happen. You can only have 5 at a time. And it got to the point to where you were having to compromise some of the things that you were saying to some of the people to really be successful. And that's not where I wanted to be. And so I wanted to do something that was reoccurring, something that was non-food based, because I didn't want to deal with people necessarily getting sick. I didn't want to deal with stuff where people were going to call me all through the night. And, at the end of the day, it's pressure washing. At the end of the day, it's a garage door. it's not something that's going to be too technical.
So now, how long have you been doing it?
We opened up our doors in May for the pressure washing, and hopefully here in the next couple of months we will launch the garage doors.
So you're pretty new at this.
Yes, sir.
Is it kind of how you imagined it?
Honestly, I didn't know what I was imagining. I thought one would be pretty complicated, and two would be even more complicated. But I figured while I was in the midst of it, that this was the time to just kind of forge ahead. I really like that the system that Premier Services has, just everything that they're putting together. It seems like it meshes all very well from what I know and how I've continued to just walk through this process. So picking a second one up in the midst of that, using the same system, seemed like it was a good fit, and just to go all in.
Now, what do you need more of? How can we help you?
I need more advertisement. I need more advertisement and more detailed oriented workers, but I think that's everywhere. I mean, we have a great team. I'm excited about where we're going. It just takes time. It just takes time.
So now, do you think that your background in sports is going to help you in terms of managing your people?
Yeah, absolutely. Understanding character, being able to look people in the eye. That was a big thing for me in stunts as well, is, with being a stunt coordinator or doing stunts, you have to be able to look someone in the eye and trust them, and trust that they're not going to hurt someone. They're not going to hurt an actor who's being paid $1 million to do a project. So there's a lot that has to do with that, and just being able to kind of read people's body manner as well.
Now, how has the selling part of this been? Is that an area you're comfortable in?
It's all new to me, really, but ultimately it's about selling something that I think has some value. So I think that, when your garage door breaks, I mean, you need to get it fixed. With pressure washing, a lot of the people that we're going after, or the target area, are the HOA communities. Or the people who have pavers in their driveways and they're getting oil stains or fertilizer stains on them. And so you really want to protect that. You want to protect your investment. Obviously, if you're paying for it, it's kind of like getting insurance. You really don't ever want to pay for it until you need it, So
now, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do that?
One of the best ways to do that is to just go to the renewcrewclean.com website and just request service. So that will take you to a zip code, to the area. Obviously, if you're too far from us, there will probably be another Renew Crew that's closer, hopefully. But if you're anywhere close, that will get right to me, and we could potentially service your home.
And then the Premium Service Brands is the kind of the parent company of both of these. Do you know their website?
I believe it is Premier Services.
Let's see if I can find it.
You caught me off guard.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, I just want, if there's people out there that want to learn more, it sounds like you're a big fan of theirs.
I definitely am.
And then I just want to make sure that we have a way to connect folks who might be thinking about their own franchise to check them out if that's something that...
Yeah, it's Premier Service Brands with an S at the end.com.
Good stuff. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story today. And congratulations on taking this step. I know it's hard. I know it is new. But it's important. Like folks like you are serving the community like you are the kind of the unsung heroes. You're kind of grinding out there, doing the work that needs to be done. And I think it's important to appreciate and celebrate what you're doing. So thank you.
Lee, thank you so much for having me. And one last thing, I have to, I'm not getting paid by them, but one of the things that's kind of saved me, I think, is a book called Profits First. And that's been a huge help to me to just make sure that I'm not spending money that I don't have as I'm kind of getting lost in some of the bills. But that's been a huge help. But thank you so much for your help. I appreciate it. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that book as well. That's how we run our business with that same philosophy is pay yourself first. Amen to that.
Yes.
Well, thank you again, Keil. And that's ProLift Garage Doors and Renew Crew. This is Lee Cantor. We'll see y'all next time on Franchise Marketing Radio.